With a flashlight in his trembling hand, he climbed down. It was dark below. On the wall by the entrance, he noticed an old candle inserted into a homemade horn candlestick. Striking a match, he lit it. The wick crackled, and a steady, living light wavered in the darkness. The cellar wasn't deep, but it was spacious, and it was full. The whole room was covered in a thick layer of dust. In the corner stood birch bark containers. On the shelves lay bundles of dried herbs, bunches of shriveled roots. But the most interesting things hung on the walls. Ritual masks, carved from dark wood, covered in cobwebs. One with a long beak and empty eye sockets, another with deer antlers, a third with a bear's snarl. Their empty eyes watched Kostya through the veil of time. Next to them hung garments of rough cloth, embroidered with faded beads and symbols identical to those on the houses. On a table lay objects, a dark wooden bowl, a knife with a yellowed bone handle, a small drum, and in the center of it all, on an altar made of a flat stone, lay a stack of tattered, crumbling sheets, covered in the same mysterious script he'd seen on his doorframe. Kostya reverently picked up one sheet, blowing the centuries-old dust from it. He ran his finger over the rough paper. What is written here? He couldn't read it, but the connection between these texts, the strange artifacts, and his non-aging neighbors was obvious. This was the key. Day 12. Going out for firewood, Kostya saw that his neighbor couldn't open his woodshed. The door was frozen shut. The old man pushed at it weakly, looking frail and helpless. Without thinking, Kostya approached. "Let me help." He took a crowbar, pried the door, and yanked it open. There was a cracking sound, and the door gave way. The old man looked at him. In his eyes was gratitude mixed with pity. "Thank you, son. The strength isn't what it used to be. It was a lie, and both of them knew it." From that moment, something changed. The neighbors' gaze when they met became less detached. Soon, Kostya began to notice something alarming. His neighbor stumbled on flat ground. The old woman from across the way dropped a bucket of water. Another old man, chopping wood, took long pauses to catch his breath. They seemed to be losing their strength. Their movements became slightly more stiff, and along with the fading strength, a shadow of anxiety appeared in their eyes. One evening, coming out of the banya, Kostya saw a clay pot with pickles, cucumbers, and soaked apples on his porch. A simple but clear sign of acceptance. Day 13. Kostya helped his neighbor clear snow again. The old man silently nodded and waved his hand toward his house. "Come in, warm up. We'll have some tea." Inside, it smelled of dried herbs and baked bread. The old man, he introduced himself as Aristarch, silently poured tea into 2 rough mugs. Tired, Kostya answered honestly to the question about why he'd moved. Of the hustle, the emptiness. "I was looking for something real." Aristarch looked at him carefully and nodded. "Aristarch Matveevich, your village, it's special. The people here are different. The places here are special. The taiga, it changes people, breaks some, strengthens others. But I saw how you handle logs. That's not how old men move." Aristarch smirked into his mustache. "Old age, it's not just weakness. There's another kind of strength. From the earth, from the forest. You're a city boy, you wouldn't understand." While Aristarch was refilling the tea, Kostya's gaze fell on a shelf with books. Among the worn volumes, he saw several old scuffed books in dark leather bindings. They looked painfully familiar. "Interesting books you have. Old stuff. My grandfather's. Local tales and legends. Do you like stories, Kostya?" "Very much." Aristarch took one of the books from the shelf, the thinnest one, and handed it to Kostya. "Here, read it in your spare time." About our region. Maybe you'll understand better where you've ended up. Evening of the 13th day. Kostya sat down by the stove with the book. The binding was cracked, the pages fragile. He opened it carefully. Inside were those same symbols, but with inserted pages of translation into Russian, written in an elderly hand. Tales of the spirits of the taiga. He found one of the tales and began to read. The tale of the giver and the keeper. And the people turned to he who was in the roots and called out, "We are cold and hungry. Our strength melts like spring snow. Do not let us sink into timelessness." And an answer came without words. "You will take and you will be strong, but you will give in return what is pledged. Honor the silence in which I dwell. Honor the cycle. Bring offerings from the heart, not from fear. Appear when the night light is full, and reaffirm your loyalty. Live in harmony with the thicket, and it will nourish you. Turn away, and the connection will break, leaving you empty shells." And the people agreed, and the strength of the earth flowed into them, and they became different, resilient, ageless guardians. But nothing is given for free, and everything has its price. Kostya looked up from the book, stunned. He rushed to the cellar and began running his finger over the symbols on the walls, comparing them to those in the book. Everything matched. The intertwined branches, the sacred thicket, the spiral, the gift and the offering, the closed circle loyalty and the cycle. Omut was a village of guardians of an ancient pact. Their strength was payment for devotion and rituals. Their weakness meant the pact had been broken. He sat on the cold earth of the cellar, the book on his knees, and understood he had touched the secret. He had found the key.